Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. We are on the brink of civil unrest and precious metals. Let's explore. For those of you familiar with my channel, you know that I'm not one of those that is predicting doom and gloom. I also try to be as optimistic as possible in terms of what is going to happen in the future. In this country, I believe that we are resilient people, although we are a very blessed people as well. Sometimes those blessings tend to soften us through the course of history. So we could be tested very, very soon in ways that we've not been ever before. You know, we have the coronavirus that hit, which is the ultimate black swan. It was a global pandemic by definition, and it certainly hit the United States hard. And the reaction to it by both public officials and across the country and economically has been very difficult and tough on us. But nonetheless, I believe we will persevere past that. But nonetheless, really, since the election of this president, we have seen pretty much in one way, shape, or form, unrest civilly in one form or another. And in a sense, we've seen it even beforehand because of some other social issues that have come into the forefront, really since about 2014 and 2015. But it has really started to heat up, especially in the past year here. And make no mistake, it's going to get worse. I believe it will. And because of that, I am nervous about what's going to be happening this coming November. I believe it will be a November to remember for sure, and many others feel the same way. The upcoming civil unrest that is geared around the presidential election to come has been heating up for quite some time. No matter which side of the ideological spectrum you fall, more than likely someone is going to be disappointed, no matter who wins, and the reaction to it. You know, there's going to be protests in the street, there's going to be violence, and just as we are seeing pretty much in constant motion here for the past few months, and that is outside of the coronavirus responses that we've seen as well, the protests that are related to that. And what does that have to do with precious metals? Well, here in the United States of America, the world looks to us because we have a representative republic. You know, we don't have a democracy, although what you are seeing essentially with a lot of these protests is calls for justice based off of mob rule. Well, when representative government takes place and you have a system of justice that is not based off of mob rule, but it rather is based off of the facts, well, that doesn't line up with what the mob thinks it should be. And so that causes more unrest. And we're seeing it right now. And I believe we will see it climb up as we get towards the election, especially since we are now going to be seeing the nomination of a new Supreme Court justice and the battle that will take place politically in that environment, which is going to cause more unrest and probably more protests that could in turn lead to violence. We live in a different age now. It is dangerously close, I think, in some ways to what we saw in the late 60s. But this time, we are a more connected world, and there's more information and data that is coming through to be able to assess or to be fooled into what is real and what is not real, what is fact and what is not fact. The term fake news has become the buzzword of the day. What is fake and what is real? And people are being fed information that they believe is real, and they will take to the streets of it, even if it's completely false information. And this is a scary time for sure. In fact, there's a documentary that has outlined this very type of thing on Netflix, and I encourage you all to see. It's called The Social Dilemma, I believe is what it's called. And it talks about that very type of thing. And I would encourage everybody to watch that and to try to get your news from multiple different sources to confirm or to maybe put to rest some of the false information that's out there, no matter what side of the ideological spectrum you lie. But make no mistake, the world is watching, and there's articles out there talking about this unrest that is building up, and I believe it will come to a crescendo after Election Day. There's a lot going on here in the United States with the validity of the elections. They've never been questioned more than they are right now. This is where representative democracy will be tested on a national scale, state by state. Lawsuits are out by both parties and both candidates as to how these elections will be handled. We have foreign influence. Some say it's coming from Russia. Some say it's coming from China. The reality is it's coming from both and many others. I'm sure Iran and many of our other enemies out there are trying their best to try to influence or to cause chaos. And that's what it's about. They really don't care who is president. They just want to see us weakened. When you think about it, we should be united, but we should be united under the fundamentals of what made this country great in the first place. And those are the ideals and premises under our Declaration of Independence, from which our Constitution and Bill of Rights derived under a creator, under God. And so it is a very stressful and it's going to be a trying time for the United States. And in that case, as the world is watching, they're going to be watching this, the dollar. Because when you see unrest, typically that means that the world is going to have a little less faith in the dollar. And even if things are moving along economically in a recovery of sorts past the pandemic as we move, and who knows, maybe even before the election, there may be an announcement for a vaccine. Now, I'm going to stop right there in terms of the vaccine as far as what my feelings are on it. But most of you know my feelings on that. But I'm talking about the market and the media and the public reaction to a vaccine, which generally may be overall positive, which means that the pandemic may be coming to a close, which could have a positive effect on the markets, and therefore essentially meaning that we could see the dollar strengthen and precious metals fall in price. But I believe that even if that occurs, that could probably be short-lived because of this coming civil unrest. In fact, I'm being very careful not to use the word civil war, although many people are predicting that we will have a form of a civil war. Some people feel we are already in it. There's such a great divide in this country because of the social dilemma that we are seeing, that we really are seeing, in a sense, a war of information that is occurring. Propaganda, call it what you will. It's occurring pretty much in every social media platform out there, including this one on YouTube, with information. So people are choosing sides. They're falling ideologically one way or the other. And it's kind of sad to see us getting this divided. And we really have been divided for quite a while, but it has certainly ratcheted up in the last year or so. And especially with what's going on, the tensions and the re-election of President Donald J. Trump, it is really having an effect. People hold strong opinions. Will there be a peaceful transition of power? That is the news that is here today. And so I believe that no matter who wins the presidency, there will be unrest and there will be questions. Even if it's a landslide on both sides, on either side. If Joe Biden were to win in a landslide, I believe there's going to be unrest of a sort, of a manner, a form, and most certainly if Donald Trump wins, either by a close margin or by a landslide, there will definitely be civil unrest in the streets. You can make no mistake that that will be happening. And it's just sad that we've come to this point here in the United States. Now, obviously, we can certainly pick this apart as to why and who's to blame for this reaction. And I don't want to get into that debate a whole lot on this, based off of this video per se, but the overall message here is what's going to happen to gold and silver. I believe that we were going to see those metals probably go up no matter who wins because of the potential chaos that will happen in the coming months after the election, and maybe even up to and including the inauguration of the current president or the new president. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty either way. How will we pull through it? I don't know. I think in some ways it's going to take a miracle, and we need to find some arrow of truth out there, the North Arrow, some way that we can have some common truth that we can rely on and we can get behind whoever the president is. It's going to be very difficult, make no mistake. And I'm speaking as a very ideological person. Most of you know my political views here. But make no mistake, I believe that us doing what we can to prepare, and for as many ways as has been talked about on this channel, but mostly many other channels out there, which includes, having supplies, water, food, cash on hand, and definitely gold and silver. Now, I have platinum here as well, because I think it is a way to further diversify a little bit, but it's mainly here to kind of show, that we are dealing with the ideal of liberty. We want to preserve liberty as much as possible, and we have the stern look of Lady Liberty on the face of this coin, and the year in bold numbers there, 2020. This is going to be a year to remember, and we're going to see, and sadly, what could potentially lead to some sort of a civil war. My prayer is that doesn't happen, but we should all be prepared, and we should all pray for this nation. But I believe we will see gold and silver climb during that time, mainly because of what the dollar does. It's not even so much about people running to the safety of precious metals. It's mainly because I think there's going to be some lack of faith in the dollar, as the world sees their lack of faith in the United States. This is a country where we do have order, and yes, from time to time there may be protests, but typically there's not the violence that we've been seeing. We really haven't seen this kind of violence since 2000 or since 1968. Aside from maybe the Rodney King riots that we saw in 1992, but those were short-lived. But this has been a pretty continual thing here. And so pray for the nation, but be prepared. We may see gold and silver rise, and so I believe it's a good time to hold on to your precious metals at the very least, and maybe even with these dips, it may not be a bad time if you're new to stacking to accumulate a bit more. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't predict the future, but I believe that will be happening. I could be totally wrong about what precious metals do. I don't think I'm wrong about the civil unrest, but I believe that as what we've seen during this pandemic and during the unrest, I know some of the commentary that I've read about it said that part of the reason why precious metals went up is because of the lack of faith in the dollar that the world has seen in the world markets, and then the precious metals rose. So there you go. Hope you found this video informative. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.